Namaste and greetings. Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I am Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, the founding minister and the spiritual director. If you have questions about what is a teaching center, who is Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, what is Centers for Spiritual Living? What is metaphysical spirituality? Feel free to send an email to spirituallyintegratedarts@gmail.com. The website with tons of information will be available soon. In the meantime, feel free to follow us, to join us, to subscribe via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. For more information, as I said, send an email. Look for us. Join us. I look forward to chatting with you more very soon. Much love, appreciation, and all of that. Blessings. Namaste, greetings, and hello. Welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. Today, after our Sunday message, join us in the Zoom room for our after message fellowship. If you don't already have the Zoom link, then send an email to, as you see, spirituallyintegratedarts@gmail.com. The link will be sent to you and you can join us. We usually have lively conversation, meet some new folks, connect with the old folks. Old doesn't necessarily mean an age. Old meaning those that we've known for a week, a month, an eon, for however long we've known them, and those that we are getting to know them, getting to know all about them. So yes, join us today after service, after the message. And if you're not sure when, it's as soon as I do the closing prayer and say, and so it is, Ashe, Aho, be over in Zoom. All right? See you there. Now, correction, last week I said that the Thursday night study group was from 7 to 8:30, and Tracy let me know we haven't officially made that announcement yet. So as of right now, until such time as that changes, the actual time is 7:30 to 8:30 for the Thursday night study group that goes over the questions that I usually leave us with at the end of my message. We also have the Wednesday night Science of Mind and Spirit discussion group, where we take to heart what Ernest Holmes said regarding show me 1,000 people who know what religious science is, know how to use it, and are living it, and the world will change. So if you are more interested in learning more about science of mind and spirit and having real world applicable and practical conversation about how do I do this thing? How do I use this teaching? Join us on Wednesday nights. Once again, Thursday night study group. If you want the Zoom link for either of these, also send an email to spirituallyintegratedarts@gmail.com and the link will be sent to you. Now, today we further our conversation about this idea of the light within the shadows, and specifically we end this month with lights, camera, action. Breathe. Because we get ready to go somewhere today. So we all have this opportunity to decide or choose how we are going to show up in this thing called life. How are we going to engage and participate in this thing called life? Not just our individual lives, but collectively. How am I going to show up on the stage of life? How am I going to interact with the other characters in life? What roles am I playing, but what roles are we all playing in this thing called life? Is it possible to find a way to make our performance, to make our actions, to make the ways in which we show up, to make them genuine, authentic, and honest, to make them real? Or is it simply for and giggles? Is it just for show? Is it just for we think it's for play, pretend versus this is real life? Breathe. Because what's the option? If we are not taking center stage, then what are we doing? We're not claiming our rightful position as the star of our own life drama, our own creative process, which means we are then relegated to being what? Someone else's extra in their life. They're the star, but we're what? We are our own stars within our own lives. Years ago, when I was an extra, several different movies, TV shows, or whatnot, one of the important things that I learned from several of the directors that I worked with was, look, just because you don't have a speaking role and just because the camera isn't specifically on you, trust and believe you are the star of right where you are, of this action you are committing. Because if you don't believe it, if you aren't real in it, then when the whoever the audience is, when they see it and they may not even be watching you directly, but there's something that will be off. So I need you to be on all the time. The moment, lights, be on. Camera, be on. Action, be on. There is no such thing as an insignificant extra. Breathe. Some of us want to live like life, like this thing is a dress rehearsal without moving on to more engaging, more real things because we are afraid of making mistakes. We are afraid of messing up. We are afraid of not having it perfect. We are afraid that we are going to draw too much attention to ourselves. We are afraid to be bold and to live out loud. Prayerfully after today, we will at least take one action moving in the direction of having greater courage so that we are living out loud. Lights, camera, action. Our invitation is to have a deliberate order of this craft. A deliberate order. Now, what do I mean by deliberate order? Well, this is deliberate. Lights. I need, as the director, the producer, the creator, I need the lights to be set. Camera, I need the camera to be rolling. And then action. It's not camera, action, lights. Right? It's lights, camera, action. It's deliberate order. So if we are going to engage in this thing in deliberate order, which we have all kinds of reminders around us every day of deliberate order. These colors on this thing called a traffic light, deliberate order. We understand that each color represents something and we act accordingly, because if we don't, we run the risk of one, breaking the law, two, engaging in an accident. I don't go on red, I stop. In the same way that lights, camera, action, our invitation with this traffic light is this idea of ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. Are you ready to live the life that you desire and deserve? Do you have everything set? Is your consciousness, is it set? Is your life set up in a way that you are then able to go and live it? Have you had adequate preparation, integration, and embodiment of whatever it is you need in order to live the life that you desire and deserve and to live it out loud? See, it doesn't matter when you look at this image. It doesn't matter movie set, TV set, doesn't matter. Because the ultimate thing that we try to do is we try to compartmentalize. We try to compartmentalize our settings. When I'm at work, when I'm at play, when I'm at the club, when I'm at church, when I'm at Wherever I am, I change who I am. We compartmentalize based upon our settings. We compartmentalize based upon our feelings. We compartmentalize based upon our circumstances. Breathe. Does the setting matter as much as we think it does? Does this idea of compartmentalizing matter as much as we think it does? What difference does it matter? Now, for the sake of how the story is told, a certain stage may facilitate that more effectively. And yet, ultimately, every stage is a stage. Every stage is a place where we facilitate the narratives, the craft, the art of storytelling. So, why compartmentalize? Why do we compartmentalize our lives? As though we can truly separate who we are from who we are. Who we are being impacts what we are doing. So, why try to compartmentalize based upon when I'm at work? This is who I am. To the degree where when someone sees us somewhere else, we're like, wow, you're a really different person. And we're going to talk about this idea a little bit later because there are a variety of reasons why we may change, why we may put on a mask, why we may code switch. There's a variety of reasons why we may do that. But it's important on the level of consciousness to understand who and what we are in the midst of it so that we do not become like Jim Carrey would tell stories about how when he would play certain characters like Andy Kaufman, the Grinch, he was so into the character that after the film had wrapped, after it was done, it took him time to unravel and unbecome the Grinch and Andy Kaufman. He had to rediscover who is Jim Carrey? What does it mean to be Jim Carrey? How does Jim Carrey live and move about this thing called life? See, we don't want to get so wrapped up in the characters, the masks, and the whatever that is that we forget who we truly are and what it means we are being and what it means we are doing. So, once again, in this idea of compartmentalization, oftentimes people want to say film versus stage. One of these things is better than the other. One is more authentic. See, on stage, there is no cut, take two. You don't get a take two. If you mess up, you've messed up, and it's live. Therefore, it is better quality. It demands that you yeah, I understand the concept. And yes, there's a certain level of accuracy. Yes, in the craft of. Yes, I understand completely. But for the sake of this conversation, it doesn't matter. The medium through which you are storytelling is secondary to the meta meaning of the story by way of the characters. What is the medium through which you are storytelling? Are you telling a story based upon your actions? Are you telling a story based upon how you are showing up? Because the meta meaning refers to the significant life events beyond what they appear to be on the surface. How many times have we looked at someone and judged them based upon the appearance? They look mad. And we judge them based upon that. Or they must be whatever it is. And we judge them based upon that. Then come to find out, oh, they're not really angry, they're grieving. Or they were just given a diagnosis of something, a family member or whatnot, and it's they're processing it. The meta meaning is what is existing beneath the surface. And that is far more important than judging by appearances. Breathe. Because we're real quick to judge what someone's wearing, judge how someone's dressed, judge that someone is unhoused, judge someone who's having mental illness or mental health crises. We judge someone because they're neurodivergent. We judge someone because they're LGBTQ. We judge someone because they're in drag. We judge someone based upon their political affiliation. We judge someone. This could be the entire Sunday minute. We judge someone because it's far easier to judge rather than judging righteously, which means meta. Righteous judgment means we discern rightly, means we are able to move through and find this is the truth of the situation. It's what practitioners are trained to do. Not judge based upon appearance, but to judge righteously, to discern rightly, to find truth and anchor and ground to the truth and the principles of the spiritual teaching. So rather than base everything we do on the storytelling and the narrative and what the characters, let's choose to go to the meta meaning and find the truth of the situation. Because as we always say, there is nothing that needs to be healed, only truth to be revealed. So let's go to the meta meaning of our own lives and the lives of those we interact with so that we can be anchored and grounded in truth. Eckhart Tolle reminds us, not what you do, but how you do what you do determines whether you are fulfilling your destiny. And how you do what you do is determined by your state of consciousness. It's not what you do, but how you do what you do. That determines whether you are fulfilling your destiny. And how you do what you do is determined by your state of consciousness. Now, state of consciousness, what is that referring to? Our mental equivalents. The thoughts that we think, the words and the manner in which we communicate, our emotions, our feelings, and our actions. Right? Now, I'm specifying because he said the things that we do, and I'm separating this for a moment for actions because in the craft of theater, film, stage, television, acting, there are times when the actor will do something and there's subtext. And the subtext, meta meaning, is conveying a deeper action that's based upon thoughts, words, communication, feelings, etc., the mental equivalent of the character. So what they're doing is one thing, but the manner in which they are acting is a completely different thing. The manner in which they pick up the cup, it's an action, but what are they doing? Right? Because it's easy to confuse these. It's an action, it's a verb. What they did was pick up the cup. But the action serves a purpose. The action drives the narrative, drives the film, the stage, the theater, the play, it drives that because that action may convey emotions and feelings. That action is communicating subtext. That action is based upon the thoughts of the character. See, what they're doing is simply what they're doing. But the manner in which they are acting conveys far more of what their consciousness is. Take that in for a second. All the world's a stage. Have you heard that before? Do you know where it's from? Type it in. Come on. Too late. So all the world's a stage comes from Shakespeare, from a play called As You Like It. I invite you to explore deeper the mastery of Shakespeare, but in this particular play, the phrase, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, etc., etc. I invite you to go read the entire thing if you're not already familiar with it. All people are merely players in this thing called life because all the world is a stage. They have their entrances and exits, and each one in their lifetime plays many parts. We're going to come back to that in a moment. Plays many parts. Dr. Holmes says, if you think of life as flowing through your every action, if you think of life as flowing through your every action, you will soon discover that the things you give your attention to are quickened with new energy. Why would that be so? Why would that be so? Think of because it's important that you really grapple with this and embody it. If this thing called life, creation, is flowing through you because you are it incarnating, and every action that you engage in is the universe engaging in it, then what you focus on, the universe as you is focused upon that, which means there is energy being placed there. Some might refer to quantum physics and the concept of the observer effect. When the observer is observing, different things occur. Different energy is at play. So ask yourself, what kind of things are you focusing on, and in what way are you focusing on them? It is possible to focus on disease, for example, and the focus could be oh my goodness, that is so bad and so horrible and so horrendous, and oh my God. Or, as many physicians, the focus is not on the disease so much as the what do I do to restore or help the patient's body restore itself to health and well being. Both are addressing disease and illness, but one gives greater energy to, and the other one greater energy to health and well being. So the things that you are focused upon, life as energy is flowing through you and through your every action, every thought, every word, every feeling and emotion, and every action. What exactly, where exactly are you placing that energy by your focus? What are you creating by way of the manner in which you are focusing? So today, we're going to craft a character. I want you to be mindful of how do you write a character arc? How do you rewrite your character arc? Now, Sue Monahan and Tracy Rhymes are real quick to remind me that I love acronyms. So yes, ARC is an acronym. Get your paper and pencil. Are you ready? Paper and pencil. Paper and pencil. Ready? ARC. Active realization of consciousness. How do you write the active realization of consciousness for the character that you are? Now, oftentimes when we think of storytelling, there is a beginning, a middle, and an end to the story. You start at one cover of the book, you move through the book, and you get to the end cover and you close. And we think of our lives in that same way. But life doesn't end. God doesn't end. The universe doesn't end. So just because a book has come to a close, just because a movie, the credits have rolled, just because the theater lights came on, just because the Broadway stage curtains closed and everybody stands, doesn't mean the story, doesn't mean the characters are no longer alive because they now live in you. So when you leave a Broadway play to go to dinner, the character has left something with you. It lives on in you. The song lives on in you. What you read about whoever the character is, Celie, Shug, the character lives on in you. Indiana Jones lives on in you. Doctor Strange lives on in me. Whoever the character is lives on in you. It does not end. So rather than thinking of your life as having a big beginning, a middle, and an end, I am born, I am middle aged, and I die. Stop thinking of your life in that way. Start to think about In the grand scheme of things, there can be chapters that have a beginning, a middle, and end. There can be phases that have a beginning, middle, and end. But this thing called my life has no beginning, middle, or end, because this thing that is my life is God, and God has no beginning, middle, or end. And I know that in the Judeo-Christian teaching, there is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Once again, God, however, has no beginning, middle, or end. God is the author, according to that teaching, the author of that which begins and that which ends. But in our meta meaning, our metaphysical understanding is that which God is, that which spirit is, that which life is, has no beginning, middle, or end. It simply is. There is only one life, and that life is God, and that life is infinite, eternal, and ever expanding consciousness. And that life is your life right now. So while your job may have a beginning, a middle, and an end, your life does not. While this particular service or Sunday message may have a beginning, a middle, and because Reverend Ray talks a lot, the middle may go on for a long time, and an end, your life does not. Your consciousness does not. Love does not. So it's important for us to breathe and understand this active realization of consciousness is infinite and eternal, ever expanding, always. Breathe. So when you go through this idea of how do you choose to write your story, as Ralph Waldo Emerson says, do not be timid or squeamish about your actions. Do not be timid or squeamish about how you show up. Do not be timid or squeamish about living out loud. All life is a joyous experiment. The more experiments you make, the better. All life is a joyous series of experimentations. And the more you experiment, the more you converse, the more you create, the more you love, the more you share, the more you live, the more you make this thing called a world that works for all, a better place for all. Do not be timid. Do not be squeamish. So when you are writing and rewriting your character arc, think about in the same way that we would write for real, one for film, television, stage, etc. There are certain things that happen in the development of the character. What is being transformed? What are the obstacles? What are the struggles? What are the motivations? So think about what motivates you. What are you doing to nurture and further your own transformation? What are your goals? Remember that there's a passage in scripture that says, you have not because you pray amiss. You have not because you ask amiss. You have not because you pray or you ask with the wrong motivation, the wrong motives. And wrong doesn't mean right or wrong judgment. It means if you say you want to go east, then don't go west. If you say you want to drink water, then don't drink soda. What is your motivation? What are your motives? What moves you? Breathe. Because for as long as we are living this thing called life based upon somebody else's script, based upon what someone else is doing, how they are indoctrinating us, for example, oftentimes people talk about this idea of grooming. Do we realize that when we say things like this about a child, maybe 10, 11, or 12 years old, a young man, and we may say, wow, the girls are going to sure be chasing him. Wow, do you have a girlfriend? What? We are trying to speed up the process of get this boy a girlfriend, get this girl, which we usually culturally rush him into and hold her back from. You can't have a boyfriend until you're 17. You're 12. You can have a girlfriend now. So if we're waiting for the girls to be 17, then the 12-year-old has a 17-year-old girlfriend. Because he can't have a 12-year-old girlfriend because 12 years old is too young for the girl to have. Follow the train of thought. Someone else is determining boys wear blue, girls wear pink. Someone else wrote that script. Are we living our lives? Are we anchored in the consciousness of that? Or are we transforming? Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, by the renewing of your mental equivalent. What are you doing to write your life? And in the writing of your life, do you know what roles you are playing? And yes, I say roles because what role do you play in your family? Well, what about what role do you play in your relationships with close friends? Well, what about your role in your place of work with your coworkers? What about your role in life in general? See, role becomes roles because wherever you go, God is. Wherever you go, the character that you are being is there as well. So, what roles do you play? What roles? And in terms of these roles, how many of them are authentic? How many are inauthentic? How many are really you being you versus hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living? My name is Bob, and I would like to welcome you here, even though I really don't want to be standing here and I really don't want to be greeting you. But it's what I'm supposed to do because it's all God and it's all good. So let me be nice. And as soon as service goes, oh, so when you were in church, when you were at the center, you were playing a role of compassionate, nice, and loving. But as soon as you hit traffic, oh, was that the real you that came out? Now that you no longer have the confinement and containment of the stage, the theater, breathe. Because it's important for us to be anchored and grounded and know what roles we play. Because then we can determine, am I being authentically myself or am I being inauthentic? Am I compartmentalizing who I am, where I am, how I show up, what I do, and how I act based on, or am I being what you see is what you get? Wherever I am, this silly person, now Tracy will be quick to point out, there are times when I am more serious, like here, usually. Although sometimes I'll be quick to break into a song. But there are times when I am more serious. Being more serious doesn't negate the playfulness of me. It simply means that I understand there is a time and a place to use the restroom. Well, generally, because, with the whole removing my prostate thing, right now I'm wearing diapers. So normally I would try to get, anyhow, you understand the concept. There is a time and a place to cook dinner. We don't cook dinner in the bathroom. We cook dinner in the kitchen. We don't, okay, so we don't park the car in the bedroom. Well, it's either in the garage or the carport or on the street. There is a place for stuff. There's a time for stuff. So it's important to understand we need not compartmentalize. Wherever we go, there we are. Are we showing up wherever we are in an authentic manner? So when I am serious, that's still Ray. When I am playful, that's still Ray. When I'm cracking jokes, that's still Ray. When I'm teaching, that's still Ray. When I'm doing sign language and interpreting, that's still Ray. When I'm drawing or painting, that's still Ray. When I'm hanging out with the grandkids, that's still Ray. When I'm whatever it is that I'm doing, it's still me. In Matthew 5:14-16, you are light of the world. You are the light, not a light. You are the light of the world. People don't hide the light, don't put the lamp under this or under that to hide it. They share it and shine the light with everyone in the house. You are the light of the world. What does it make? What sense does it make to hide that light when you have the opportunity to shine that light and share that light with people throughout the world? You are the light that is God shining. So shine your light. Larry Merchant says, follow the wisdom of the great actor, James Cagney. You hit your mark, you look the other person in the eye, and you tell the truth. You hit your mark. Ready, set, go. Lights, camera, action. You hit your mark. Be where you are. Look the other person in the eye. Be authentic, be transparent, be direct, and tell the truth. Be open. Tell the truth. Be authentic. Tell the truth. Be real. Tell the truth. Back in my Christian days, we would say, there's a phrase we would often say, tell the truth and shame the devil, which with the meta meaning, the metaphysical meaning, being that the devil represents this idea of that which is the illusion, that which is the lie. Tell the truth and dismiss the lie. Tell the truth, anchor in the truth, and the lie must vanish. Hit your mark. Look the other person in the eye and live the truth. Be authentic. Because we throw these words around. Authentic, authenticity, inauthentic, blah, 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 blah. It's very simple. Being real. Because being real is rare. Be genuine, be truthful, be honest. Be who and what you are. Now, it's funny. Tracy's probably going to laugh about this, and I'll probably be able to hear her. In terms of actors, there are some actors that you forget the actor is the actor, and you become so engrossed in their performance that it's simply the character they are playing. That's it. And then there are some actors, apologies in advance, that you don't forget that it's Tom Cruise as a samurai. It's Tom Cruise flying a fighter jet. It's Tom Cruise as a Mission Impossible agent. Not once do I forget. This is me, it's me, it's me. Not once do I forget that it's Tom Cruise. Because there's something for me that doesn't connect. Whereas, every time I see Denzel Washington act, I forget it's Denzel Washington. For me, it's, oh, Equalizer. Oh, Malcolm X. Oh, like for me, it's whoever he is playing in whatever, whether it's Fences, whether it's, as I said, the Equalizer, like it doesn't matter what the role is. For me, Pelican Brief, for me, whatever it is, Manchurian Candidate, whatever it is, I think those are the right movies. For me, whatever it is, I forget that it's him. I see the character that he is seeking to present. We have the opportunity to do the exact same thing, to be authentic and real, to be our full, bring everything we have to what we are showing up as. To be out loud, center stage, bold, confident. Breathe. Remember I said before, this idea of mask. You've heard me say this oftentimes. I've even mentioned it a couple times this month. Last week I mentioned it about faith. Faith in and of itself is faith. It's an energy. There can be non-life affirming faith and there can be life affirming faith. But faith, same thing with masks. Oftentimes we vilify masks as if wearing masks, that's the enemy, it's bad and it's wrong. No, it's not. Certain masks serve a purpose. Pause and let's ask, one, am I wearing a mask? If I am, what purpose is it serving? If I am able to be so authentic and transparent with myself, I may never share or tell this to anyone else, but can I be authentic and tell myself the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Am I wearing a mask? I used to. Keep in mind, the act of being in the closet is a form of wearing a mask. For whatever reason, it's wearing a mask. For some, that mask must be worn because their life literally could be in jeopardy. So in that case, the mask serves to protect. Some of us wear masks because we don't want people to know who we really are. We don't want people to get close to us for a variety of reasons. So, one, ask, am I wearing a mask? Are there certain times that I wear a mask? And if so, what purpose does it serve? Because, see, some masks we need. Some masks we should have and should wear, and they serve their purpose effectively. Do not judge by appearances, but judge righteously. Am I wearing a mask? Yes. Why? What purpose is it? What is my motivation? What is motivating me? What is my motive, my reason for wearing the mask? Is it protection of self and or others? Is it to hide? Do I have reason to hide? See, the ninja mask and the clan hood or mask, both masks, different reasons, different motivations. The emotional mask, different than the mask I wear as protecting myself or others from COVID, or the reason that doctors and medical staff wear masks to protect from germs and further contamination of self and or others. Breathe. Because if we're really going to get into this idea of what it means to be on center stage, to truly live out loud, then let's get real and ask, do I wear a mask? And if so, when, why, how, what is it? What is the purpose of it? What is it doing for me? What is it doing to me? Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us, according to Marianne Williamson. It is our light. Why would it be that? Because to whom much is given, much is required. We don't expect. We don't expect a lot from the extras. We don't expect a lot from certain people in the school. They're just a custodian. They're just a garbage person. They're just a postal worker. It's not like they're the president or the CEO of a company. It's not like they're Meryl Streep. I don't even know her name. She's not Viola Davis. Who? You said who? Reverend Ray Anderson. Who's Reverend? He's not Michael Bernard Beckwith, right? Like we categorize and put people in certain compartmentalized places and we deem them valuable or not. We deem some greater and some not so great. But to whom much is given, much is required. Because I want us to really anchor and think about this for a moment. Because in general, this idea, simply put, to whom much is given, much is required, means that as God incarnating, we are held responsible for the way we are using our godly gifts, talents, skills, and abilities effectively. How are we stewarding our divinity? And based on that, every single one of us has been given much, is being given much, is the incarnation of what it is to be much. You can't dim that light. Or you can deny it, but the light is still there, right? I can come into my house and I can close every window, every door, seal off everything until it is pitch black in the house. But the sun is still shining. The light is still hitting the house. I can close my eyes. I can la 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 all I want. But it doesn't change the truth. So why not anchor and ground in the truth, as Uncle Ben taught Peter Parker, who became Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. You have great power because you are the universe incarnating. You are more powerful than you could ever imagine, and you are responsible for how you use that power, period. Dr. Holmes says, as you learn to release all your burdens to the right action of God, you will find that everything falls into its proper place. What is the right action of God, though? The right action of God means this flow state, this place where it is wu wei, this and nothing more, this and only this, where you yin and yang, or yin yang, because technically the and isn't there, yin yang. Actually, it's the opposite. Yin yang, flow. That's what he's referring to. In the same way that we refer to getting in the zone, being in the zone, and time no longer exists. There is simply this moment. How are you engaging your life from that place of flow? What did we say before? Life flows into every action. Into every action. Breathe. Since we're talking about the shadow, I figured it would be a great place to bring in one of the biggest users of the shadow, or the shadow self, Batman. Because Batman took the very thing he was afraid of and turned it into his greatest ally, his greatest weapon. Now, why am I mentioning specifically this or these Batmen? Because there are various iterations of, and yet each one is its own unique iteration of. The concept Batman shows up in various incarnations, and each incarnation is a unique and different incarnation. Like Eric Butterworth says, there are no duplicates in creation, in the creation. Every snowflake, every blade of grass, every grain of sand, a unique design. In the same way, there has never been anyone, nor will there ever be anyone just like you. You are a unique expression of the creative energy of the universe. You are a unique expression of the creative energy of the universe, focused eternally as you. Yes, you are the divine original. And the divine intent, active as you, has one desire to express expansively and creatively. To express expansively and creatively its uniqueness as the perfect idea it is an infinite mind. This is your spiritual destiny. See, so rather than trying to be Viola Davis, rather than trying to be Meryl Streep, rather than trying to be Denzel Washington, rather than try to be Robin Williams, rather than try to be whoever, whatever, wherever, Mary Morrissey, Michael Bernard Beckwith, and Iyanla Vanzant, Oprah Winfrey, rather than try to be them, be the unique, individualized expression of the divine that you are. Be uniquely you. Be your divine, magnificent self. And don't play the game of comparison. Don't play the game of needing to be like someone else, needing to copy their life, their path, their way of being. God incarnated individually as you, in you, through you, for a reason. Be it. Reverend Ray says, if we want to truly live our best lives, if we want to heal the world, if we want to truly create the beloved community, in other words, a world that works for all, we must know not only our human roles and responsibilities, but also our divine roles and responsibilities as God incarnating. Wherever we are right now, hit the mark, tell the truth, be it, live it. This week's affirmation declaration, I will say it first, and if it resonates with you, say it with me the second time around. I shine my unique light on life's center stage. Together. I shine my unique light on life's center stage. And so it is. Our Thursday night study questions, or your opportunity to journal questions. In what ways can I challenge myself to take center stage in my life? How can I rewrite my story? What are 3 areas for me to take center stage that would mean the most to me? In other words, are there specific personal areas or public issues or areas? What specific skills should I or could I focus on to develop greater confidence and comfort to be more proactive in my life? Where am I holding back in life and not expressing fully and completely as my true self? In what ways am I not stepping into my power? And lastly, what are specific ways and actions that I can let my true light shine and be my authentic self more consciously daily? Breathe. Breathe as we anchor and ground in prayer, recognizing right here and right now that that which God is. And it is incarnating itself in, through, and as each and every one of us right now. That this thing called life is all there is. There is only one life, and that life is God, and that life is all there is, and it is everywhere, ever present, at all times, in all ways. Then everywhere is center stage. Circle, circumference nowhere, center everywhere. Right where each of us is the center of the universe. Right where each of us is the center of God. Right where each of us is center stage. It is right where we are. Hit the mark and live out loud. Hit the mark and tell the truth. Hit the mark and practice principle. Hit the mark and live accordingly, boldly, lovingly, compassionately, wisely. Breathe, recognizing the isness and allness of creation right here and right now. I align my mental equivalent with this awareness. My thoughts are God's thoughts. My words are God's words. My emotions and feelings are how God emotes and feels. And my actions are the ways in which God shows up as this body, acting as a 21st century New Thought Good Samaritan, here to be a beneficial presence in the world, manifesting the beloved community, a world that works for all, equity, justice, food, housing, clean water, safety, and protection. This and so much more. That is my spiritual destiny. That is our spiritual destiny. That is the to whom much is given, much is required. That is the with great power comes great responsibility. That is the show me 1,000 people who know what religious science is, know how to use it, and are living it as a way of life, and a world that works for all will manifest. That is what it means. Lights, camera, action. And the law says yes. Breathe. And it is now. And it is so. And so it is. Namaste, much love, many blessings for those who are gathering over in Zoom. See you in a second.